Lucas Donovan forced his eyes open. His body felt like a dead weight, his head throbbed with sharp pain, and every blink left behind a dark void. When he finally managed to open his eyes, all he saw was darkness. A deep, piercing emptiness. Where am I? Who am I? What happened? For a few seconds he stared blankly at the headboard of the bed, his mind foggy. It didn't take long for him to realize that he was in a hospital room, but everything was a blur. The beeping of a monitor echoed in the background, reminding him that something was there, just beyond his reach. He slowly turned his head, trying to take in his surroundings, but his vision was unfocused, his mind hazy, almost as if he were intoxicated. For a moment, everything fell into silence. He took a deep breath, trying to grasp a shred of clarity, but instead, a wave of confusion washed over him. Something was missing. There was a void in his memory. An accident, something. But what? A voice slipped through the doorway. He inhaled deeply, turning his head slowly toward the sound. "You're awake, Mr. Donovan. How are you feeling?" A woman, dressed in a hospital uniform, stepped closer. There was confidence in her voice, warmth in her tone. But Lucas could only hear her, he couldn't see her clearly. As she approached, he tried to focus on her face, but his eyes refused to cooperate. She was just a silhouette, a shadow. That shadow gave him a sense of comfort, yet at the same time she was a stranger. She stood beside him, waiting in silence. At that moment nothing else existed but the machines and this woman. Lucas turned his head slightly, trying to look at her, trying to make sense of this unfamiliar yet oddly reassuring presence. There was something about her, something important. He needed to find out what it was. Everything was still so blurry, and his missing memories kept him from finding himself. The woman smiled gently. "I'll help you. How do you feel?" Lucas met her gaze. The only thing he could truly feel was the warmth in her eyes, a soft, reassuring presence. But beyond that, nothing. Who is she? How did he know her? He squinted, searching for words. "Your name." His voice was hoarse, weak. The woman tilted her head slightly, patient, as if offering him a clue. "Isabella. Isabella Moretti." Her voice was soft, almost melodic. Lucas repeated the name in his mind. Bella. It meant nothing to him. He had never heard it before. And yet, something about the way she said it. There was something there, but he couldn't grasp it. His mind was too clouded. The woman smiled again. A natural, reassuring smile. It comforted him in a way he couldn't explain. There was something about her. Deep down, in the depths of his lost memories, perhaps a connection existed. But what was it? Lucas lifted his hand slightly, hesitating. "Bella?" he asked, his voice strained. She smiled. "Yes. Everyone calls me Bella." Lucas had no memory of the name. But something about it felt right. There was warmth, a familiarity, yet he couldn't recall why. She remained quiet for a moment, giving him space to process everything. Then, stepping closer, she placed a gentle hand beside his head. "You will get better," she said softly. "If you feel anything unusual, please let me know." Lucas felt the emptiness inside him, the absence of memories, of identity, of purpose. But Bella's presence, even in this moment of confusion, gave him a small sense of security. She began preparing something nearby, her movements slow and deliberate, as if trying not to overwhelm him. It was strangely comforting. Lucas tried to piece together his broken memories. All he could recall was an accident, a collision, but nothing else. No past, no identity, no reason for being here. He was trapped between what was lost and what remained. Why am I here? What happened? Lucas lifted his head slightly, forcing the words out. But trying to remember felt like chasing shadows. Every time he reached for an answer, it slipped away. Bella looked at him, a flicker of sadness in her eyes. But then she smiled gently. "You were in a car accident. But don't worry, you're safe now. As long as you're with us, everything will be fine." A car accident. Lucas repeated the words in his mind, trying to make sense of them. But there were too many missing pieces. His memories felt like a rushing river, carrying everything away before he could hold on to it. Bella placed a reassuring hand near his head as if grounding him. her touch, her presence. It brought him a strange kind of peace. But that peace came with an unsettling void. Who was he? What had happened? I can't remember, Lucas whispered, closing his eyes. Who am I? Bella was silent for a few moments. Then carefully she answered. You will remember in time, Mr. Donovan. But for now you need to be patient. Lucas slowly opened his eyes again, looking at her. His mind remained foggy, but something about her words gave him comfort. For a brief moment he believed her. Things would fall into place. But there were still so many questions. There was still an emptiness to fill. And in the darkness of his mind, Bella was the only light. As the days passed, Lucas's mind gradually became clearer, yet much remained lost. His memories felt trapped behind a fogged glass, his past, his former life, all gone. But Bella's constant presence was a beacon of hope. He didn't always know what day it was, what time it was, or even where exactly he was, but being near her created a sense of safety. At first he focused on how gentle and attentive Bella was. He would watch her trying to recall something, anything, but everything remained tangled. There was such a vast emptiness inside him that simply existing in a functional way felt like a victory. One morning, Lucas opened his eyes to find Bella in the room once again. But today she was smiling in a way he had never seen before. There was a softness in her gaze, a light that seemed to be trying to tell him something. Slowly he tried to sit up. His head was still heavy, but waking up no longer felt like an impossible task. I feel good today, Lucas said, offering a faint smile. Bella tilted her head slightly, her eyes meeting his with warmth, as if celebrating this small victory. I'm so glad to hear that, she replied, her voice carrying both genuine kindness and an underlying uncertainty. No matter how reassuring she tried to be, the gaps in Lucas's memory remained an invisible wall between them. Lucas broke eye contact, raising a hand to his temple. He had felt so lost for so long that he wasn't even sure what was happening inside his own mind. The holes in his memory made reality feel distant. I still can't remember who I am. Everything is just a blur, he admitted, though this time his voice lacked frustration. There was only quiet acceptance. Bella, as always, remained patient, but there was something different in her eyes today, a hint of sadness. Spending time with someone struggling to recall their own existence was difficult. And yet her determination to help Lucas never wavered. In time everything will fall into place. One day you'll remember it all, Lucas. The moment she said his name, a small tremor passed through him. His name. The only thing he knew about himself was his name, Lucas Donovan. But beyond that, nothing. His past, his identity, everything else was in darkness. He closed his eyes, trying to summon a memory, anything at all. But as always, nothing came. The only light in that darkness was Bella. Her presence grounded him, like an anchor keeping him from drifting further into oblivion. Later, after Bella left to tend to other duties, Lucas remained alone in the hospital room. A vague restlessness stirred inside him. The emptiness in his mind pulled him in strange directions, leading him toward fragments of something just beyond reach. As he stared at the light filtering in through the window, something flickered in his memory. A fragment, a distant feeling, an echo of emotion. He was remembering something. A crash, a collision, and then Bella. The day before, Bella had told him a little about her life. She had spoken so naturally that Lucas had accepted it without question. Despite his lost past, Bella had been so real, so certain. And that certainty unsettled him. After some time, Bella returned to the room. There was patience in her expression, but also an exhaustion that she carefully hid. Yet something about her was becoming clearer to him. Bella wasn't just a nurse. She felt like a clue, an essential piece of the puzzle of his lost identity. She was a light guiding him through the shadows of his forgotten past. You're feeling better today, aren't you? Bella asked, observing him closely before stepping forward to check on him. Yes. But I still don't remember, Lucas admitted, shaking his head slightly. So much of his past had vanished, replaced by nothing but uncertainty. And yet his time with Bella was starting to fill those empty spaces. At that moment, only her presence gave him peace. Bella approached, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. I'm doing this not just for you but for us, Lucas. No matter how far your past or future may seem, I'm here. For a moment, Lucas tried to understand the deeper meaning behind her words. There was something there hidden between the lines. But what? It was still so unclear. Yet the warmth in Bella's eyes soothed him. You matter to me, he said, feeling an emotional weight pressing against his chest. Bella was doing all of this without realizing just how much she meant to him. Being with her felt like shelter from the storm. Bella held his gaze in silence for a long moment. Then in a quiet whisper she said, I'm not just doing this with you. I'm doing it for you. Everything was slowly coming together. The missing pieces of his past were beginning to merge with his present. There was still uncertainty, still a sense of being lost. But there was also Bella. And with each passing day their bond grew stronger. Yet Lucas knew, no matter how close they became, he still had to rediscover who he was. And as Bella guided him toward the truth of his past, she too was embarking on a journey of her own. For a week, every morning when Lucas opened his eyes, he had grown accustomed to seeing Bella's face. She was there every day, seamlessly weaving herself into his world through the smallest acts, helping him, guiding him, grounding him. Her calm demeanor and gentle voice softened the uncertainty that clouded his mind. Even though he still felt lost, Bella's presence gave him a sense of meaning. But one thing remained, his past. The emptiness was overwhelming, yet every passing day he felt as though he was getting closer to remembering something. One morning when Bella entered the room, she found Lucas sitting differently. He was hunched over, his head buried in his hands. Silence filled the space between them. Bella hesitated at the doorway before stepping closer. There was something in her eyes, a silent question. Lucas, she called out gently. Lucas slowly lifted his head, his gaze unfocused as he met Bella's concerned eyes. I still can't remember. His voice was hollow, his eyes filled with a deep void that seemed to pull him in. Bella stepped forward and sat beside him, carefully cradling his face in her hands as she studied his expression. What do you remember? Lucas took a deep breath, his mind clashing with fragmented images. A few things. But they're so faint. A crash, an impact, but nothing else. It's like there's nothing else in my life. Bella remained composed as she always did. Time worked differently for her. Every moment Lucas forgot was another opportunity to help him rediscover himself. But inside her, something whispered, a secret she was yet to share. I want you to remember something, Lucas, Bella said softly. I'm searching for something that might lead to your past. Let's push a little further. Lucas tried to make sense of her words, seeking a sense of stability within them. Her presence reassured him. She had become his safe harbor. And yet, it was as if Bella carried a hidden truth about him, something she wasn't saying out loud. Everything I remember about you. It's all good things, Bella said, her gaze radiating warmth as she offered him a small, hesitant smile. That smile spoke of how close they had grown, but the vast emptiness of his past still weighed heavily on him. Bella sat silently for a while, watching him with patience. Then suddenly a spark ignited in her eyes. We need to find something from your past. There must be a clue. Lucas lowered his head slightly before meeting her gaze again. Finding something from my past. But where do we even begin? Bella thought for a moment before gently taking his hand in hers. We'll do it together. Maybe a hospital record. Or someone who knows you. Or perhaps a place, something that connects to your past. We have to start looking. Lucas's chest tightened. The beginning of all this was his lost memory. He couldn't recall what he had lived through, what he had felt, what he had done. But Bella's determination ignited something in him. A desire to uncover the truth. The search for his lost identity had begun. The next day, Bella left Lucas alone in his hospital room to search for records that might offer answers. Silence wrapped around him as he remained in the quiet space, the distant sounds of traffic seeping in through the window. Then suddenly he heard footsteps approaching outside the door. Different footsteps. A sound that stirred something deep within him. Then came a voice. Lucas. A man's voice filled the room, familiar yet unknown. Lucas's head snapped toward the door, his heart pounding. He knew that voice, somehow, somewhere. But who was it? The door slowly creaked open, revealing a tall, well-dressed man. There was something peculiar about his expression, something unreadable. But in his eyes there was something else. A recognition, an understanding. A memory stirred within Lucas, faint and distant. The moment the man stepped closer, the question inside him grew heavier. "It's good to see you, Lucas," the man said, a melancholic undertone laced in his voice. "Even if you don't remember me, I remember you. Sit down. Let's talk." Lucas stared at him in shock. He recognized him, yet he didn't. Who was this man? Where did he know him from? "My name is Ethan Miller," the man said, extending a hand toward Lucas. At the mention of his name, something clicked in Lucas's mind. Ethan Miller. A name, a place, a feeling, blurred but familiar. The name meant something. It was tied to something significant. But what? Ethan studied him closely, his gaze searching for traces of recognition. "We shared a lot in the past, Lucas. But now it's like you're lost. What happened? Do you really not remember?" Lucas shook his head slowly, his thoughts colliding inside him. "I don't, but there's something. My name. I remember something about it." Ethan's eyes darkened slightly, but a flicker of hope crossed his face. "You're starting to remember. That's a good sign." Lucas felt an odd sense of clarity, but it was fleeting, as if it could slip through his fingers at any moment. There was truth in Ethan's words, but what was it? And where would this truth lead him? "Why are you here? Why now?" Lucas asked, feeling more lost than ever since Bella had left the room. Ethan offered a small, knowing smile. "Because, Lucas, we're chasing your past." He paused for a moment before adding, "And there's a secret." Secret. This was just the beginning. Lucas was at a turning point, torn between uncovering his past and navigating his present with Bella. And now, with Ethan's sudden arrival, everything was about to change. For a week, every morning, Lucas had awakened to the sound of Bella entering his room. Every morning, the first thing his eyes adjusted to was her presence. She was always there, seamlessly integrating herself into his world, bringing a sense of order to his otherwise fragmented existence. Her calm demeanor and gentle voice eased the uncertainty inside him, even as the emptiness within him deepened with each passing day. He still couldn't remember anything, but in Bella's presence he found the only source of solace in his search for his lost identity. One morning, as Lucas heard the familiar sound of the door opening, he let out a deep sigh, resting his head against the pillow. His vision was still blurry, but every day it seemed to clear just a little more. Bella, as always, approached him with patience, beginning her morning routine by preparing his coffee. There was a restlessness within him, an unreachable part of his mind that refused to be unlocked. But the moment Bella entered the room, a fleeting sense of security settled over him. As Bella sat down, she noticed something different about him. He was looking up at her, his expression filled with a quiet sadness. Yet there was something else, something new. Bella tilted her head slightly, concern evident in her features, before gently asking, "Lucas, are you okay?" Lucas slowly opened his eyes and met her gaze. "I still can't remember." There was a deep void in his eyes. Bella could see the lost man reflected within them, a man whose memories had vanished into an abyss. Whatever life he had before, whatever people he had known, they had all slipped away, leaving only uncertainty behind. But as always, Bella remained patient. "Have you started remembering anything?" she asked softly. Lucas took a slow breath, frustration creeping into his voice. "A few things, but they're all so faint. A crash, an impact, but nothing else. It's like nothing else exists in my life." Bella studied him carefully, taking in every moment they shared. She knew something was missing, yet she was determined to fill in the gaps. There was a quiet strength in her patience, an unwavering commitment to helping Lucas find his way back to himself. "Sometimes," she murmured, "forgetting can be a blessing. But still, we need to find something, Lucas. A clue. Something from your past." Lucas held her gaze, her words settling into the deepest parts of his consciousness. Every word she spoke felt like a tiny beacon of hope, nudging him toward the search for his lost identity. Her presence gave him the courage to begin looking. Finding something from my past. He trailed off, his mind turning over the thought. But where do we even start? Bella's expression was calm but resolute. We have to start somewhere. Maybe there are hospital records. Maybe someone who knew you. Or maybe there's a place from your past that can trigger something. A flicker of determination flashed in her eyes. She was guiding him, encouraging him to embark on this journey. But Lucas still felt lost. There were too many uncertainties. And yet, Bella was offering him direction. The only direction that could lead him back to himself. A while later, Bella left the hospital room to search for files that might shed light on his past. Lucas, now alone, faced the silence once more. It was an eerie thing, this solitude. It brought with it the weight of the unknown. He shut his eyes, taking a deep breath. His memories were still a blur, but something was stirring. A sensation. A whisper of something buried deep within him. Then suddenly the door creaked open. This time the footsteps were different. Lucas turned his head toward the door, a strange sensation creeping into his chest. A voice followed. Lucas. It was a man's voice, familiar yet unplaceable. Lucas's heart pounded as he stared at the figure standing in the doorway. He knew this person. Somehow, somewhere. But who was he? As the man stepped forward, his silhouette became clearer. He was well-dressed, exuding an air of quiet confidence. Yet something in his expression was unusual. There was recognition in his eyes. Recognition that Lucas himself didn't have. The moment their eyes met, something stirred inside Lucas. A memory? A feeling? He wasn't sure. The man took another step closer. It's good to see you, Lucas. His voice held an odd warmth, but there was something else beneath it. Something unreadable. Lucas hesitated, his brows furrowing. I feel like I know you. The man studied him for a moment before speaking again. My name is Ethan Miller, he said, extending a hand. An old friend. At the mention of his name, something flickered in Lucas's mind. Ethan Miller. The name meant something. It carried weight. But why? Lucas repeated the name under his breath. Ethan Miller. His expression darkened with confusion. Why are you here? Ethan gave a small, knowing smile. Because, Lucas, we need to talk about your past. Lucas felt the tension coil inside him. I don't remember. But there's something there. The feeling. Ethan's gaze sharpened. That's a good sign. It means you're starting to remember. Lucas's mind buzzed with unspoken questions. Bella's words, Ethan's sudden arrival. It was all starting to form pieces of a puzzle. A puzzle that, once complete, would reveal the truth about who he really was. But what would that truth be? And just how much of his past was he ready to face? Ethan Miller's entrance into the hospital room marked the beginning of an entirely new era for Lucas. The moment he heard his name echoing in his mind, he felt something shifting, like missing pieces trying to find their place. Ethan was both familiar and distant, a fragment of his past whose depth he couldn't yet comprehend. As Lucas took his first steps into the darkness of his forgotten history, a battle between curiosity and fear unfolded within him. Ethan walked to the center of the room, pulled out a chair and sat down, his gaze fixed on Lucas. After a brief silence, he took a deep breath. Lucas's eyes still held uncertainty, but something about Ethan's presence left a mark, an imprint he couldn't ignore. I need to tell you about your past, Lucas, Ethan said, his voice laden with something heavy. But you need to be ready for it. Lucas studied him with quiet patience, yet there was a spark in his eyes, a question, a search. What do you mean? What do you know about my past? Ethan lowered his head and let out a slow exhale. Your past knows you very well, Lucas. But sometimes finding someone who remembers you, who can remind you, isn't easy. You know that everything comes at a price. A flicker of intensity flashed in Lucas's gaze. Among the chaotic thoughts clashing in his mind, something was beginning to take shape. Ethan's words created a bridge between his fear and curiosity. His past felt like a mystery, a puzzle waiting to be solved, and now it was time for some of those pieces to come to light. I don't remember. I'm ready to face my past, but why now? Lucas asked. He wanted to reclaim everything that was lost. Slowly he stood up and took a step closer to Ethan. What happened? He demanded, his voice both impatient and determined. Ethan studied him for a moment before offering a faint, almost knowing smile. Because there's a lot you need to remember. You have to face your past if you ever want to understand your future. Lucas forced himself to push past the confusion and focus. Ethan's words held a promise, one that could give him back a part of himself. But how much of his past truly mattered to the person he had become? Face it. What do you mean by that? Lucas asked, taking another step forward. The weight of his emotions created a hollow space inside him. Whatever lay ahead, it was starting to feel more like a threat than an opportunity. Ethan remained silent for a moment before inhaling deeply. A year ago, you were an important figure in the business world. But something happened. And that changed everything. The accident you had, it wasn't just an accident. Lucas tried to make sense of his words. A year ago, what happened? The accident. Ethan's gaze didn't waver. Yes. That accident is part of something bigger. A decision you made. A misunderstanding. An ending. Lucas's mind worked frantically to connect the dots. So, the accident was related to my work? He asked, his thoughts finally starting to gain clarity. Ethan gave a slight nod, his eyes never leaving Lucas. Yes. You made a mistake. And mistakes have consequences. You paid the price by losing your memory. A new truth settled over Lucas like a heavy weight. His past wasn't just a void. It was a series of events, choices, and consequences that had led him to this moment. The accident, his career, and now Ethan's sudden reappearance. It all meant something. And then there was Bella. The time he spent with her had brought him peace, but at the same time, it had also been pulling him toward something unknown. Their connection wasn't just about the present. It was wrapped in the shadows of his past. Bella wasn't just a nurse helping him recover. She was a guide leading him toward something. And now for the first time he wondered, was she hiding something too? Ethan's voice broke the silence. Everything has a price, Lucas. But you have a second chance. You can remember. But doing so will take you on a new journey. Lucas drew in a slow breath, his thoughts racing. The question echoed in his mind. What should I do? He wanted to face his past. He needed to. But he had no idea where that path would lead him. Ethan stepped forward, his voice softer this time. You have to do this alone, Lucas. Clear your mind. Only then will you know what to do next. His words felt like a roadmap, a sign pointing toward something unknown. But how far was Lucas willing to go? How much was he willing to remember? The darkness of his past was pulling him in, and all he had to do now was take the first step. 1 week later, Lucas spent the following days reflecting. The time he shared with Bella in the hospital brought him comfort, but the shadows of his past only grew darker with each passing moment. Bella's patience and kindness felt like an anchor, but even with her, the emptiness inside him refused to fade. One morning, when Bella walked into the room, she immediately sensed the shift in him. Something had changed. Lucas's eyes no longer held only confusion. There was something else now, something stronger. Determination. I remember something, Lucas said, meeting her gaze. But I need to find more. Bella took a small step back, silently offering her support. Whatever you remember, I'm here, Lucas. And at that moment, Lucas made his choice. He would step into the depths of his past. He would find out who he really was. No matter where the truth led him. As Lucas spent the past few days reflecting, he began to realize that his past was like a scattered puzzle, with missing pieces he had yet to find. Ethan's words, though distant, carried a deep truth, one he could no longer ignore. His past had changed after a single decision. Whether it was a mistake or a misunderstanding, none of it provided him with a clear answer. Everything remained hazy, but one thing was certain. Remembering his past wouldn't just give him back his identity. It would also transform his relationship with Bella. Each morning, as Lucas walked into Bella's room, he felt a little stronger. But with every piece of his memory returning, the emptiness inside him grew deeper. That emptiness lurked like a shadow in the corners of his mind, waiting to surface at any moment. One morning, Bella entered his room to find him standing by the window, staring outside. She watched him for a moment, noticing the stillness in his posture. When Lucas finally turned his head and saw her, there was a new kind of clarity in his eyes, a determination that hadn't been there before. "I remembered something today," Lucas said, his voice steady but heavy with meaning. "A part of my past, but something's missing. I don't know what it is." Bella stepped closer, listening intently. Each day she could see something shifting inside him, as if the fog of his lost memories was slowly lifting. But she also noticed that Lucas wasn't afraid. Instead of viewing his lost years as a burden, he was determined to chase after them. "You have to do more than just remember, Lucas," Bella said, her voice gentle but firm. "You need to understand." Lucas clenched his hands, taking in her words. "I feel how much I've lost. But maybe if I remember, I can understand you better too. What we have, it feels like a bond that's been lost. If I don't face my past, how can I build a future here?" Bella took a deep breath. "You need to find your past, but I have to remind you of something else. You and I have to build our future together. That means, we both have something lost. You have your past. I have my fears." Lucas absorbed her words, and at that moment, something clicked inside him. Bella wasn't just helping him, she too was searching for something. They were both trying to rebuild a broken identity, both clinging to each other in their uncertainty. But this journey wasn't just about uncovering the past, it was about healing from it. In all this complexity, "I need you," Lucas admitted, his gaze locked onto hers. "Losing my memory, feeling lost, you're the only thing that keeps me grounded." Bella saw the emotion in his eyes, and she knew this journey wasn't just his. It was hers too. His past had become intertwined with her own struggles, and their search for the truth was bringing them closer in ways neither of them had anticipated. "I'll help you," Bella said with renewed conviction. "But this journey isn't just about remembering. It's about understanding who you are." Lucas sat in silence for a moment, letting her words settle. He was beginning to realize that lost memories weren't just about the past, they were a key to the future. And if they faced it together, they could build something new from the ruins of what was forgotten. The first clue. With Bella's support, Lucas began taking steps toward uncovering his past. The first step was going through the old documents he had found in the hospital. Among them, he discovered notes about a business deal, one that had taken place before his accident. It was the first concrete trace of his former life. But one name stood out, a name he didn't recognize yet felt strangely familiar: Adrian Calloway. Adrian had been a major figure in Lucas's business world. Somewhere in his past there had been a connection, perhaps even a secret deal between them. Lucas and Bella decided to dig deeper, searching for more records, more clues. But after being buried for so long, the past wouldn't reveal itself so easily. "Adrian Calloway," Lucas murmured, testing the name on his tongue. A strange shiver ran through him. Something stirred in the depths of his mind, like a memory just out of reach. He had heard this name before. It had meant something. But what? Bella watched him closely, seeing the struggle in his expression. "Adrian was important in your business life. But now, remembering him might be even more important. I don't know what truth this will lead to, but we need to look closer." Lucas nodded, determination settling in his chest. "We need a lead. If I had dealings with Adrian, I need to know why. Facing my past isn't just about finding myself. It's about uncovering the people I left behind. And maybe my enemies too." Bella placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "Then let's find out together. No matter how painful your past is, you're not alone in this." A meeting in the hospital. The next day, Lucas and Bella gathered all the documents they had found and met in a secluded room in the hospital. The papers revealed details about Adrian Calloway's involvement in Lucas's business affairs. But more importantly, they hinted at a dark chapter in Lucas's life, one that had likely led to his downfall. One day soon, Lucas would have to face Adrian. "This isn't just about business deals," Lucas said, flipping through the pages. He looked up at Bella, his expression unreadable. "This is about who I was." Bella studied his face carefully. "And who you are now." Lucas hesitated before speaking again. "When I heard Adrian's name, I felt something. A trace of something familiar. He left a mark on my past." Bella nodded. "I understand, Lucas. But remember, Whatever truth is waiting for you, the deeper the secret, the bigger the reality you're about to face. Lucas took a deep breath. He was right. This wasn't just about regaining his identity. It was about uncovering the hidden secrets of his past, no matter the cost. Lucas, with each passing day, remembered more about his past. However, some memories, like a lost city, refused to fully surface. The name Adrian Calloway had settled in his mind both as an echo and a threat. It symbolized the darkest period of Lucas's life and his greatest mistakes. The business deals he made with Adrian, a betrayal of trust from years ago, and the broken friendships still carried a hidden meaning. Everything seemed to feed off the vast emptiness created by that decision years ago. One morning, Lucas was found in the small hospital room, sifting through old files with Bella. As usual, his intense focus on the documents revealed the determination in his expression, signaling he was getting closer to something. Lucas was pushing himself to fight alone. He had lost his memory, but everything that had shaped his identity, especially the connection to Adrian's name, made him more determined to continue this journey. Again? Bella asked as she entered the room. Did you find something? Lucas carefully set the documents aside and looked at Bella. Every day it becomes clearer. Adrian's name. It's slowly revealing the secrets behind everything. But there's still something missing. That missing piece. It should take me one step further. Bella approached, tilting her head slightly. How does this missing thing affect you internally, Lucas? As you remember the past, what scares you? Are you really ready to face it? Lucas took a deep breath and sought an inner answer to Bella's question. My past, everything hidden behind my name. The deals with Adrian, the accident, it all caught up with me. But I don't want to see those memories fully. My fears, my identity is fading every day. Bella, noticing the uncertainty in Lucas's eyes, moved closer. Your identity may be fading, but your fears shouldn't control you. No matter what will bring you back is facing your past. Every step with you will take you one step further. We'll do this together, Lucas. Drawing strength from Bella's support, Lucas sighed deeply. Yes, you're right. We can solve this together. But Adrian is more than just a figure from my past. He's the greatest obstacle to finding my identity again. I feel like it's impossible to regain the lost pieces of me without facing him. A week later, in the hospital's secret room, Lucas and Bella were not only going through old documents in the secret room of the hospital, but they were also trying to uncover more information about Adrian Calloway. Many old company agreements and secret correspondences had emerged. The relationships Lucas had with Adrian were shaking the company's financial foundation, and these relationships were uncovering the dark games behind them. One day, another file appeared in Lucas's hands. Inside this file was a signed agreement by Adrian Calloway. However, to Lucas, this agreement seemed to be hiding something wrong. The agreement had been made some time ago, and within it, there were writings about how Adrian had influenced Lucas's decisions. But as Lucas read more carefully, one particular paragraph caught his attention. Following the agreements made with Adrian Calloway, the source of financial troubles and disagreements has been identified, but an unspecific clause here indicates that the company is facing an even greater threat. Lucas squinted and reviewed the note once more. This has to be a clue, he whispered. Could it be a misunderstanding? These deals may have caused not just a financial collapse, but have thrown me into another kind of danger. After taking a sip of water, Bella looked at Lucas and spoke slowly. This isn't just a business agreement, Lucas. It's a secret hiding in your past mistakes from the business world. Adrian wasn't just a figure in your career. He was one of the biggest threats in your life. Lucas turned to Bella. Adrian shaped every part of my life. But even when I couldn't remember, just hearing his name triggered something in me. This must be something bigger than just financial loss. Bella felt the determination in his eyes more carefully and took the file from his hands. Then what should we do? Are you going to confront Adrian? How prepared do you need to be to find him? Lucas stayed silent for a while, then spoke with clear determination. Yes, I need to be prepared for him. I've decided to face Adrian. But this isn't just about my past, he's also threatening my present life. I need to find everything and uncover it all. The next day, Confronting Adrian Calloway. After the hospital, Lucas and Bella began a small investigation to find Adrian Calloway. Lucas knew that following Adrian's trail would be difficult due to their past relationships. However, with Bella's support and the clues they had gathered, they finally discovered Adrian's address. This was both an end and a new beginning. One afternoon, Lucas and Bella set out towards an old building where Adrian's former office and residence were located. There was a great uncertainty between them, but one thing was clear. Without confronting Adrian, nothing would come to a conclusion. Adrian's location was hidden in the lower floors of an abandoned building. As they carefully made their way, the tension inside Lucas grew. Facing Adrian was not only about the business world, it was also about confronting the darkest secrets of his past. As Lucas carefully stepped alongside Bella through the abandoned building, he seemed to be battling the darkness and uncertainty within him. Adrian Calloway's name still echoed in his mind, attempting to piece together the lost parts of him. Adrian had become not only the darkest part of his past but also a man who shaped his future. Confronting him meant not only facing the past but also rebuilding his own identity. The confrontation with Adrian symbolized a moment Lucas had been waiting for. However, with each passing second, the question of how prepared he truly was became more pressing. Although Adrian was one of the darkest figures in Lucas's life, he still had complex feelings toward him. No matter how dark Adrian was, Lucas had never been able to confront him, even when Adrian had once approached him as a friend. Today he knew everything had to come to an end. Bella approached Lucas and watched him. With each step she could feel how determined he was and how much this confrontation meant to him. Bella wasn't sure if Lucas was ready to face the darkness within him, but she was determined to support him until the very end. "Are you ready?" Bella asked, taking a deep breath. Lucas looked into Bella's eyes and smiled confidently. "Yes, I'm ready. I may have forgotten many things, but after all this time, there's nothing stopping me from moving forward now. Adrian is the foundation of everything that's been keeping me from facing my past." Bella placed a hand on his shoulder, giving him encouragement. "Your past, Lucas, is what made you who you are. I know the path you need to take to find that lost piece. But remember, you're not alone. As long as you're with me, I will always support you." Drawing strength from Bella's words, Lucas quickened his pace. As they neared Adrian's hidden office, he headed toward the door, feeling as if the pieces of his past were finally falling into place. Confronting Adrian wasn't just about putting the lost pieces back together. It meant putting an end to all the pain of the past. Confrontation with Adrian. Knowing that Bella was by his side, Lucas slowly opened the door to the dark office. When he entered, the lights were dim, but the feeling inside the room was heavy with tension. The darkness seemed to be a reflection of something. Then in the shadows, a silhouette appeared. Adrian Calloway, fully aware of the moment Lucas had been waiting for, sat calmly in a chair at the corner of the room. A familiar mocking smile appeared on Adrian's face as he turned toward Lucas. Adrian's presence had always been a threat in Lucas's mind. Now all the fears and uncertainties had come together. "Lucas, it's nice to see you here," Adrian said, his voice calm but mocking. "It's been many years. You've come all this way to make sure I'm paying attention, haven't you?" Lucas, walking stiffly through the room, took a step toward Adrian. "Why did you deceive me, Adrian?" he asked, his voice slow but firm. "Why did the darkness behind everything take shape through your games? I know how much effort you put into keeping me from confronting my past." Adrian smiled lightly and stood up, walking slowly toward Lucas. "Everything is your fault, Lucas. The sooner you accept that, the less pain you'll feel. The times when you brought me into your game were precious. But sadly, the trust we built was short-lived. And unfortunately, I had to remind you once again." "Why?" Lucas asked, now full of anger in his eyes. "Why did you keep influencing my past so much? An accident, a business deal. It's all your manipulations. How did you lose me both in my work and in my life?" Adrian's mocking smile didn't disappear, but a more serious expression appeared for a moment. "Because back then I could play you like a puppet. And finding the secret to your past, your identity, was a game to me." Adrian took a few steps back and looked out the window. "But when working with someone like you, it's hard to see the truth. Your past will always keep you one step behind, Lucas. Bella, stepping closer to Lucas, supported him with a strong look. Your past, Lucas, is what made you who you are. You need the courage to accept it and change it. Every moment we're here now is the confrontation you need to have with your past. You need to have the courage to face it together. Adrian glanced at Bella and then turned his gaze back to Lucas. Bella, how sweet you are. But things are different with you. I thought Lucas had to remain tied to his lost identity. But the truth is, it always changes and the past stays with sorrow. Whatever decisions you make, your destiny will always be overshadowed by your past. In response to Adrian's words, Lucas remained calm and replied with cold certainty. My past will never define me. I will simply accept my mistakes and learn from them. If I must confront you, then I need to do it now. In the end, I'll find my lost identity and build my future. The truth revealed. In that moment, as Lucas felt the emptiness inside him, he realized that Adrian's words no longer held any meaning. Adrian had become a prisoner of his past and manipulations. On an inner level, Lucas had already triumphed over Adrian and the darkness he had created. In that moment, he was confronting not only his past but also Adrian for the final time. Finally, I'm losing you, Adrian. This is the end of your past. Lucas looked at Adrian one last time with a determined light in his eyes. And this is the beginning of not just my future, but of ours. Bella took a step forward and joined Lucas. Leaving all the darkness behind in your life and choosing your own path, Lucas. You're truly free now. Adrian, giving Lucas one last look, stepped back without saying anything. You've won. But remember, life always comes with different games. Lucas, looking at Bella, took a deep breath. He had now faced his past and illuminated all the shadows Adrian had created. As the weight of the past fell from his shoulders, only one step remained to rebuild his future and his identity. Lucas stepped out of the dark room of the abandoned building with Bella by his side, feeling the shadows of his past beginning to fade away. As they walked slowly, on one side were Adrian's sorrowful gaze and the anger he felt toward him, and on the other side the courage Bella had given him. There was only one thing left to do: to leave behind the weight of the past and start building the future together. Everything suddenly felt like the end of the past. As Lucas left the city, he felt as if he were rediscovering the identity that had been lost for years. He had confronted Adrian and ended all the games he had created. However, the dark points shaped by the past did not seem to end with this journey. Now Lucas had to shape not only what was left behind but also the future. It's hard to believe the past is truly behind you, isn't it? Bella called out softly, walking just behind Lucas. Lucas turned his head to look at her and smiled. Yeah, it's a little strange. But it's over now. My final confrontation with Adrian in a way helped me return to myself. Now that I've found my lost identity, I need to move forward. But with you, I realize that everything is a new beginning. Bella took a step closer and gently touched his shoulder. We're setting out on this journey together, Lucas. This journey will be a new beginning for both of us. Lucas walked silently for a while, internalizing the meaning of Bella's words. Yes, but it's not just about forgetting my past. It's about reshaping my future. Now, as we discover who we are together, I feel that we can light up the darkness. The darkness inside him seemed to slowly vanish in the warmth of Bella's presence. With each step, the burden of the past was left further behind. He was no longer finding his lost identity, but instead rediscovering the lost time and everything related to it. Yet Bella's presence also helped him realize how strong he truly was. Where are we going? Bella asked, smiling softly. We've set out on this journey, but we need to decide on our direction. Lucas paused for a moment as he tried to bring to mind a place he had once thought of going. He searched for traces of a lost period of time in his memory. There's a place. Somewhere I wanted to go a long time ago. Maybe we can start fresh there. But this journey won't just be with you. It will also be with myself. Bella nodded deeply, understanding his words. Finding your identity will prepare you for this journey. But seeing what really changes you will be a discovery for both of us. The lost memories of the past were now returning with every step. It felt as if there was a bond that had suddenly been completed. For a man tired of carrying the burdens of the past, a new beginning might seem far off. But with the trust he felt beside Bella, Lucas believed everything was once again possible. A new beginning, together towards the future. A week later, Lucas and Bella had completed their preparations to leave the city. All the secret documents, old relationships, and Adrian's games were now behind them. They were now embarking on a journey just for themselves. Letting go of the weight of the past was only the beginning. Together they would rebuild their lost identities and set off on the journey to freedom. "Where would you like to go together?" Bella asked, placing their bags in the car. Lucas stopped for a moment as he headed toward the car and took a deep breath. "I don't know. But I do know one thing. This journey is an opportunity not only to rebuild my past but also to build my future with you." Bella approached him and said, "No matter how long you try to forget, I know your past has guided you. But now you're in control of your life. This journey will be a new beginning not only for you but for both of us." Lucas nodded, looking into Bella's eyes. "Together we can overcome every obstacle. This journey will not only be the victory over the past but also our victory. We've decided to build a new life. And this is the beginning of everything." They both knew that the past was behind them and that this journey would carry them forward not only from the past but toward the future. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Together they would make a new beginning. No turning back. As Lucas and Bella set off in the car, both had taken a step toward each other. They had now escaped the shadows of the past and had begun to understand each other more deeply. As they drove, the emptiness inside Lucas slowly faded, and he found meaning in everything left behind. Bella's presence had become both a source of trust and strength for him. With each step, the shadows of the past gradually disappeared, and Lucas and Bella moved forward, building a new life. And no matter what, one thing was certain. They had said goodbye to the past and had taken a powerful step toward the future. "We just need to make this journey together," Lucas said, his eyes shining with a new sense of determination. Bella smiled once more at him. "Yes, we're setting off on a journey. And this journey is ours." As Lucas and Bella stepped out of the abandoned building, they felt as if after years of waiting they were finally free. They moved slowly, each step taking them farther from the dark shadows of the past. Yet the traces of that old life still followed them. Lucas had often felt the urge to look back, but each glance left him with more distrust and dark feelings. The shadows created by the past, no matter how much he wanted to escape them, reminded him that it was impossible to completely outrun them. Everything they had left behind in the old city hadn't just remained a backdrop of sorrow. Adrian's influence, the old business world, the traps and manipulations he had laid out, still left deep marks. But one thing was certain. With each passing day, it was all moving further into the distance. Throughout the journey, Bella had been a constant support to Lucas. With every step they sought ways to heal the wounds of the past. The shadows of the past seemed to have faded a little more. Lucas realized that setting off with Bella not only freed him but also helped him discover a new identity. The lost memories of the past were slowly falling into place one by one, but with each moment he felt stronger as he moved forward. One morning they were heading towards a mountain village with the first light of dawn. The surrounding landscape, the peaceful calm of nature, helped them distance themselves even further from the shadows of the past. When the car stopped, Lucas slowly looked out the window, and in the depths of his eyes, a new awareness began to take form. "There were so many times I couldn't understand why we came here. But now it feels like I've found something I lost," Lucas said, glancing at Bella as he slowly got out of the car. Bella joined him, nodding with a faint smile. "No matter how much the past chases you, the power of being together can change everything." As Lucas turned toward her, he found a sense of trust in her eyes. "Yeah, maybe there are things I didn't tell you before. I really felt lost. But now I'm leaving all the burdens of the past behind, trusting you. Everything has become more meaningful with you." Bella took a step forward and came beside him. "I understand you better now, Lucas. You always thought you carried the past with you. But this journey has helped you discover the identity that makes you who you are. Now, together, no matter what happens, we'll create the future." Together they went on a morning walk through the mountain village. In their eyes was a longing for a new beginning. Each step made them stronger and brought them closer. As they lightened the burdens left by the past, a whole new path awaited them. The feeling that everything had ended but at the same time had begun, reinforced their hope for the future that awaited them. No turning back. They settled in a small house for the night, and after some time they found peace. The silence of the night gave them hope for everything that would follow after the past and its losses. There was a void in their eyes, but it was the void created by a new beginning. All the pain from the past slowly faded, replaced by a renewed sense of trust and commitment. "I feel like this is the beginning," Lucas said, looking at the reflections of the dancing lights on the ceiling in the room where they had spent the night. "When I lost my past, I was so uncertain. But now with you everything feels clearer. There's more to us. I can feel it." Bella nodded silently, "And this isn't just about the past disappearing, it's about the power of being here together." She then sighed deeply and added, "Don't let everything from the past define you. Now you are in control." When Lucas looked at Bella, he felt the trust in her eyes once again. This new identity, which had replaced something long lost inside him, gave him the strength to move forward. From the place where everything had started, they had left behind all the burdens of the past. Now they were about to step into a new journey. As the night went on, they both enjoyed sharing their thoughts with each other. This journey was not just a physical one, but it was also bringing them closer emotionally. As they wiped away the dark traces of the past, they would take every step together, trusting each other. "I wonder what we can achieve together," Bella said, her eyes fixed on Lucas. "But one thing I know for sure, we'll do it together. No matter what." Lucas nodded, taking a step forward and holding Bella's hand. "Always. The shadows of the past are gone, and we will build our future together, starting a new journey." The next morning, with the first light of the sun, they decided to hit the road. This journey symbolized not just their physical journey but also their inner journey. With each step they found more trust, grew closer, and left behind all the uncertainties created by the past. They were now shaping the life they had built together, stronger than ever. A week later they had left behind their uncertainties about where they would go. The determination in their eyes showed they were ready not just to build a future but to build it together. With every journey, Lucas and Bella grew closer, strengthened by each other, and they felt that the shadows of the past were no longer a threat but had transformed into a new beginning. "We can overcome anything together," Lucas said, taking a deep breath before setting off. "Yes," Bella added, "together we won't let anything stop us." It had been a few weeks since Lucas and Bella set out to make a new beginning. With each passing day, they were trusting each other more and taking more steps to escape the dark shadows created by the past. But every new beginning was also a process in which the effects of the past were still felt. Lucas, with every step toward his new life, felt an emptiness inside him, a reflection of the lost years and forgotten identity. This emptiness became more apparent as they moved forward, but with each passing day he realized that this void had a direction that would guide and strengthen him. During their journey one morning, Bella suggested taking a break in an old village by the roadside. They slowly parked the car. The surrounding nature looked peaceful and calm, yet Lucas, as usual, felt the unease inside him. He slowly got out of the car and began to observe the surroundings. Bella came up to him, her face adorned with a deep smile. "This place reminds me of old times," Bella said, taking a deep breath. "Sometimes starting a new beginning can bring back old times and lost memories. But we won't let the past affect us." Lucas turned to Bella and smiled, though there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. "Yes, you're right. But everything is changing so fast. While trying to build a new life with you, I can't completely erase the traces of the past." Bella stepped closer to him. "The traces of the past may always follow you, but you should be part of your future, not your past. And in this journey with you, I see each step more clearly." Lucas internalized Bella's words and turned his gaze toward nature for a while. There were moments in this very landscape when he had felt lost. Now he sensed that everything had a meaning. "My past will always be a part of me. But it should not be a burden. It should become a source of strength. I must shake off the shadows of the past and build my future with you." Bella smiled reassuringly at him. "That's the right perspective. Your past shaped you, but on the path you choose, Together we will build the future we've created. Lucas grew stronger with Bella's words. Together they would rebuild everything. Each step brought them closer and made them more determined. No matter what happened in their new life, the pain of the past would not stop them. Slowly changing paths. A week later, Lucas and Bella decided to stay in a mountain village. Far from the city, this tranquil village in nature seemed to give them peace. When they decided to stay here, it was not only to relax but also to find inner peace. Getting away from the old city, old jobs, and old relationships was helping them grow spiritually. One morning, while walking along the village paths, Lucas shared a quiet moment with Bella. Being here, it's so calm, peaceful. Something is changing. Every part of my past is gaining meaning here. With every step I find myself more and more. Bella looked at him and smiled slightly. Yes, with time everything becomes clearer. Maybe we should search for ourselves together. The past will somehow find its place. But when we are together, even the pains of the past will slowly fade. Lucas nodded. Yes, maybe I should have trusted you more. With you on this journey I'm finding myself. Many lost years, a lost identity. Everything is now coming together in a more meaningful way. Bella listened to Lucas' words deeply. Everyone has a lost part of themselves. But together, discovering that lost part is one of the most important journeys. No matter how far you try to go, we are by each other's side. As they slowly grew closer and walked along the paths, they both felt as though they had completely left behind the traces of the past. Their hopes for the future were becoming more apparent with each step. This journey was not just a physical one, but also an emotional connection built with the trust they had in each other. Inner confrontation and transformation. One morning, while having coffee with Bella, Lucas suddenly noticed a change in his eyes. Something is changing. More than anything, I feel like I'm embracing my past. But somehow I'm making peace with it. I owe this to you, Bella. Everything is clearer with you. Bella smiled, feeling that she had supported Lucas internally. The past will never leave you. But as the past shapes you with every step we take together, you will be set free. Lucas paused, looking at Bella, then made his decision. Together we can build everything. I've shed my past, but with you I will build everything. I want to build my future with you. With these words they grew even closer. The trust they shared had strengthened their bond. This journey had not only shaped a lost identity but also formed through the deep love and commitment they had for each other. Together towards the future. Neither of them noticed how time passed. Every new morning felt like a new beginning. The time they spent in this village gave them both an inner peace and a hope that they could build everything together. They had left all the darkness of the past behind and now, everything had meaning. I'm ready for a new beginning together, Lucas said one morning, looking at Bella. And this beginning will be our journey. Bella smiled, looking into his eyes. Yes, everything has its own path, but this path will be written for us. We've now shed the lost pieces of the past. Our future will be in our control. And so Lucas and Bella, cherishing every moment they spent together, began walking toward the future. They knew the past would not stop them in any way. Their journey would not only be shaped by the darkness of the past but also by the deep love they had for each other. Since Lucas and Bella arrived in the village, they had found inner peace. Every morning as they walked through the narrow streets of the village, the sunlight warmed them and the fresh air of nature cleansed their spirits. Slowly, the traces of lost years were left behind, and with each step they felt more freedom. However, as Lucas walked beside Bella, he still felt the presence of his past following him. Although he felt as though he had shaken off the dark traces of the past, he hadn't fully freed himself. Inside there was a void of some lost memories and he was still trying to fill them. One morning, while drinking coffee on the terrace of a cafe at the edge of the village, Lucas turned to Bella and spoke. Sometimes I feel like everything is complete. But something is missing. It's as if completely shedding the dark sides of the past is impossible. There was confusion and uncertainty in his eyes, and he could still feel the emptiness inside. Bella silently looked at Lucas and gave him a reassuring smile. Your past doesn't define you, Lucas. That emptiness isn't what makes you who you are. It's part of the strength that the past has given you. We will balance the dark with the light. But this journey is something we do together. As Lucas listened to Bella's words, a sense of relief appeared on his face. Sometimes I just want to trust. The darkness the past gave me is still inside me, but with you I feel like everything is different. The emptiness inside him was still there, but being with Bella made him feel that with each passing day, that void was no longer a dark burden that had once held him back but a lesson that would make him stronger. Bella slowly placed her hand on Lucas's hand. Together we will overcome this. We are leaving the past and the lost parts behind. As we build the future together, you will feel that everything has more meaning. When Lucas felt the warmth of Bella's hand, he noticed his heart was beating faster. Leaving behind the darkness of the past wasn't easy, but with every moment spent with Bella, this difficult journey became more bearable. The trust he felt by her side was giving him a sense of inner balance. Yes, maybe we can fill this emptiness together. The burdens of the past can no longer stop me. Everything is possible for us. Lucas saw a light in his darkness. As the lost parts of the past fell into place, he felt the determination to build a stronger future together. Growing strong together. The next day they decided to climb a hill just outside the village. From the summit, the view over the village seemed like a metaphor for their new life. Slowly they made their way toward the hill. Their eyes began to discover how this new beginning reflected both their bond with each other and the strength they gained with every step. This place, it feels like the point where everything comes together, Lucas said, looking at the view. I remember the times when the past felt like a burden. But now I feel like everything has meaning. Bella sat down on a nearby stone looking at the village. In a way, the past brought you here. But what's most important is walking toward the future together. As we shed the burdens of the past, I feel you more as you truly are. As Lucas listened to Bella's words, he realized that he was beginning to make peace with both his past and his future. Understanding my past wasn't about denying it. It was about accepting it. Moving forward with you will show me who I am. Bella was determined to take every step with him. Yes, but on this journey we are together. The darkness created by the past will only make us stronger. I believe that when we set out, everything will be in our control. The test of the journey, challenges and opportunities. A week later, Lucas and Bella decided to go for a walk in the forest just outside the village. The silence of nature was giving them the peace they needed to make a new beginning. However, like every new journey, the one they embarked on together would face its own challenges. Suddenly, a sound from deep within the forest caught their attention. They moved quickly and soon they encountered a group of people climbing a mountain. These people appeared to be an archaeological group exploring the ruins of ancient settlements. What are you doing here? Bella asked, approaching one of the group members. One of the group members smiled and replied, "This area belongs to an ancient civilization. There are many lost pieces here. Maybe you'd like to see them." Lucas and Bella decided to follow the group. With each step they were tracing the lost memories, the traces of history and the footprints of time. However, while this journey took them back to the past, it also raised more questions about their future. Sometimes I feel like the past offers us something about ourselves, Lucas said, carefully looking at a piece of stone. But exploring every trace of the past doesn't mean just going back. Maybe we need to better understand what we should leave behind. Bella turned to Lucas and looked into his eyes. Exploring the traces of the past isn't just about finding a lost piece. It's also about accepting it, she said. Leaving behind every trace of the past is impossible without understanding it. But the past is part of everything that made you who you are. While you value it, you shouldn't get stuck in it. Lucas paused as he listened to Bella's words. The lost memories, pains, and mistakes he had accumulated over the years were slowly taking shape. I think I can do this, Bella. I can succeed with you. Accepting the losses the past created is easier than being stuck in them. When I'm with you, everything is clearer. As Bella sat next to him, she said, "We will do this together. We will leave everything behind and truly be free with you. Even though the traces of the past follow you, you are in control. Together we will draw a new path." Lucas nodded, drawing strength from Bella's words. Yes, together we will draw a new path. My past, the traces of the past, all those lost identities are behind us. This new journey will be our journey. With you I can achieve everything. During the few days Lucas and Bella spent in the village, their trust in each other deepened. With each step they felt like they were shedding the traces of the past and that their bond with each other was growing stronger. This journey wasn't just a physical one but also an emotional discovery. The connection between them was becoming more powerful than the lost parts of their past. However, as with every new beginning, there were new challenges waiting for them. One morning, while walking in the depths of a forest outside the village, Lucas paused for a moment. In the silence of nature he began to feel the emptiness within him more intensely. It was as if the traces of the lost years still lingered, but those traces no longer caused him pain. He slowly turned to Bella. "I'm noticing something," Lucas said, his eyes filled with deep thought. "I've accepted the past, but thinking about those lost years still affects me. Maybe the past will always leave me with questions." Bella calmly approached him, placing her hand on his shoulder. "Carrying the traces of the past is part of what makes you who you are. It's not about erasing them but making peace with them. The further we go, the easier it will be to leave them behind." Lucas focused deeply on Bella's words. "Yes, maybe you're right. Finding this lost identity starts with fully accepting my past. But every step with you makes me feel stronger." Bella looked at him with a sincere smile. "We'll overcome everything together. The past may follow you, but now we're beginning to build a brighter future together. Moving forward, building the future." A week later, Lucas and Bella decided to leave the village. But this time the place they were leaving behind wasn't just a physical location. It was also the decision to leave their old lives behind. The lost traces of the past would no longer guide them. With the strength of building a new life together, they would shape a future. Before they left, Bella turned to Lucas and spoke. "I feel like we'll be together forever. But I know one thing, we'll always carry the traces of the past with us. What's important now is to deepen our trust in each other with every step we take." Lucas looked at her with determination in his eyes. "Yes, Bella. Even if we completely shed the past, our journey will only gain meaning if we move forward together. We will make a new beginning. We've overcome the pains and losses of the past. Now I want to rebuild everything with you." Bella nodded. "We'll succeed together. The past must be a part of shaping our identity. But it won't prevent us from sailing towards the future with even greater strength. A new city, a new beginning." In the next city, Lucas and Bella aimed to leave behind all the shadows created by the past and start a completely new life. The city offered them something they hadn't experienced before. An unknown world, new opportunities, the possibility of meeting different people, and the chance to build their own journey. One morning, after settling into the city, Lucas decided to go to the highest point of the city with Bella. As they looked at the city from above, it felt like the meeting point of the past and the future. "From here I can see everything more clearly. My past has ceased to be a shadow. Now we have hopes for the future. The losses and pains the past created will be replaced by hope and a new life." Bella came to his side and smiled sincerely. "Yes, although the past made us go through difficult times, we're here. A new city, a new beginning. Together we can overcome any obstacle. This city will give us the opportunity to shape our lives." As they both looked at the city, they turned to each other and said, "Together we can overcome everything. Rising together." As days passed, Lucas and Bella adapted to their new life. With each step they strengthened their trust in each other, created a new identity and built a future together. They started new jobs in the city, made new friends and most importantly, deepened their bond with each passing day. One evening after dinner, while walking along the beach together, Lucas turned to Bella and sighed deeply. "The trust you've given me, walking every step with you, always being by my side. These things helped me shed the pains of the past. With you I found my lost identity and now together we can build everything." Bella slowly turned to him and said, "The lost piece of the past made you who you are. But from now on, everything will reshape with you. In this future we'll walk together, I'll always trust you." A new life, an endless beginning. In the city where Lucas and Bella decided to rebuild their lives together, they felt that everything was offering them a new chance. By leaving the pains of the past behind, this new life they were building together brought them both freedom and peace. Leaving the lost years behind, They stepped into the future with the love and trust they had for each other. Now nothing could stop them. They would only move forward on the life they had built together. "This new life will be our life," Lucas said, looking at Bella. "From now on we'll only be together no matter how much the past tries to follow us. We're embarking on a new journey." Bella nodded with a smile. "Yes, together no matter what happens we'll succeed." Lucas and Bella had started to fully adapt to their new life in the city. With each passing day, they felt more and more that they had shed the traces of the past through their trust in each other. However, the opportunities and challenges that emerged in this new life were further maturing them. They had made a fresh start, freed themselves from the burdens created by the past, but life still had some lessons to teach them. One morning, Lucas had an important meeting at work. Bella approached him and locked eyes with him for one final moment. "Today is important. The steps you take today for our new life will help you grow. But remember, everything will be easier when we are strong together." Lucas, looking into Bella's eyes, nodded with a sincere smile. "Yes, you're right. But sometimes facing my old identity is hard. Remembering every moment feels overwhelming. But as long as you're by my side, I feel like I can overcome anything." Bella looked at him encouragingly. "Everything is easier with you. We are together and we trust each other. That's why the weight of the past is no longer with us. Every new step we take will be a part of us. Our future will be shaped by our decisions." Lucas, taking strength from Bella's words, set off for work. However, the unease inside him had somewhat diminished. Today would be a turning point for the new steps they would take together. A step forward in the business world. During the meeting, Lucas tried once again to distance himself from the traces of the past. Old business partners, past mistakes, and the lost years. But now, as a different man, he began to lead this meeting. Slowly, the words started flowing, and as he grew more confident, he realized that a new path was beginning. The shadows of the past were gradually disappearing. After the meeting, Lucas met Bella. "Today was different. The fears created by the past have lessened. I'm starting to find myself. Everything started to make sense when I began with you." Bella smiled and touched Lucas gently. "This isn't just about you. Together we're embarking on a new journey. Overcoming everything and building the future together is a chance for us." Lucas nodded. "Yes, a chance. Together we can overcome anything. A life built together." A week later, they spent their first evening in their new home. In the darkness of the night, they held each other, surrounded by the silence outside. Now everything had a purpose. They were slowly leaving behind the losses created by the past and looking forward with only their trust in each other. Building the future together brought them closer with each passing day. "We did this together, Bella," Lucas said, taking a deep breath. "We've completely filled the voids created by the past. I finally feel free." Bella smiled, her eyes shining with trust. "We did this together. Leaving the traces of the past behind and building the future together. This is the real beginning of our journey." The time they spent together became more and more valuable with each passing day. Leaving the lost years behind had drawn them closer, allowing them to feel the strength of building a new life together. Now life belonged to them alone. New opportunities and challenges. As days went by, new opportunities began to emerge in the town. Lucas and Bella got involved in new projects related to the town's businesses. Working together not only brought them closer but also gave them a much stronger foundation for a fresh start. However, every new opportunity came with its own challenges. One evening, as Bella spoke to Lucas about a new job opportunity, she said, "There are many opportunities, but this one could be important for both of us. This job requires a much bigger responsibility. But we can work together. What do you think?" Lucas, with uncertainty in his eyes, replied, "I don't know. Taking on such a big responsibility could lead to repeating the mistakes I made in the past. But being with you makes me feel like we can overcome any challenge." Bella, noticing his hesitation, said, "We can take on this responsibility together. It's not about running away from past mistakes but learning from them. If we seize this opportunity together, we can overcome the challenges the past might create. I know that with you we can succeed in everything." Lucas, relieved by Bella's words, replied, "Yes, with you anything is possible. Let's take this new opportunity." With every step we take together, I feel stronger. We can leave behind all the losses of the past. New beginning. A month later, Lucas and Bella started their new jobs. Though the business world presented them with many challenges, together they overcame them, growing a little more each day. The barriers created by the past were slowly erased, and the foundations of a new life were being laid. This journey not only brought them professional success but also helped them grow emotionally closer. One evening, after a day spent at work, Lucas and Bella smiled at each other in their home. "I know we can overcome anything together. No matter what, I'm ready to take every step with you to build our future," Lucas said, his eyes filled with determination. Bella looked at him with confidence and said, "We'll succeed together. We've shed the shadows of the past and together we can overcome everything. Now we only trust each other." Lucas and Bella continued to rebuild their lives, stepping forward with each move they made. The lost fragments of the past were completely left behind, replaced by a strong bond and determination. Now they had begun to build everything together. The success they had achieved in the business world and the trust they had in each other had taken them to a place they had never imagined before. One morning, as Lucas and Bella walked together on a new corner of the town, they realized how much had changed. Over time, their love for each other had deepened, and the life they had built together had become far more meaningful. With each passing day, the dark memories that the past had offered them remained only as memories. Now everything was illuminated. "We really did it, didn't we?" Lucas said, taking a deep breath as he looked at Bella. "By trusting each other, we've left the past behind and here we are." Bella nodded with a happy smile in her eyes. "Yes, everything has become more beautiful. We left all the pain of the past behind and we built everything together. Being with you gave me the strength to make everything easier." Lucas squeezed Bella's hand. "From now on, nothing can stop us. We will continue to build the future together. The past is no longer with us. Everything has meaning, and the life we've built together is our greatest reward." A new beginning. Over time, they began to meet more people in the town. Each one admired the strength of Lucas and Bella's relationship and the trust they had in each other. They found greater success in both their work and social lives. Their love not only strengthened the bond between them but also had a positive impact on the community. One evening, while having dinner together, Lucas turned to Bella and, with deep trust in his eyes, said, "If we were given an award, the most valuable prize would be the time I've spent with you. Shedding the shadows of the past and building a new life. And sharing every moment with you." Bella, feeling the emotions flowing like a river in his eyes, replied, "And with you we can overcome everything. The future becomes brighter for us with each passing day." "We've built everything together," Lucas said. "Now we have the strength to overcome every challenge together." 1 year later, Lucas and Bella began to reap the rewards of this new chapter in their lives. With each passing day, the bond between them grew stronger, and the life they had built together continued to expand. The burdens of the past had been left behind, and now there was only a bright future that they had created together. One morning, as they watched the city, Lucas and Bella walked together to the highest point of the town. The city was as quiet as usual, and a new day was beginning. They had climbed to this peak years ago when they were alone, but now they were together. The darkness of the past had completely vanished. Now there were only the two of them, not the lost pieces of the past. "Achieving this is truly amazing," Lucas said, slowly looking at Bella. "I didn't let the past define me. I found a new identity with you. The future is now everything to us." Bella nodded, "And we've gone through this journey together. We started together, we continued together. The future is bright for us, and with each step our trust in each other grows even stronger." Lucas smiled at Bella. "From now on, everything will be shaped by the trust we have in each other." Happy ending. A new life. As Lucas and Bella continued to enjoy the life they had built, leaving the past behind, they moved forward with even more strength, supported by the admiration and encouragement from those around them. The shadows of the past had left them. Their trust in each other had brought success and happiness into every area of their lives. There were no longer any pains from the past or traces of lost years. The future glowed brightly, shaped by the life they had built together. One day, while watching the city, Lucas turned to Bella and said, "The most beautiful part of our lives was right here. We overcame everything together, we shed the darkness of the past. The future is now ours." Bella looked at him. "Yes, I took every step with you. We've built both the past and the future together. We've grown together, we've matured together. Now together we'll be happy forever." And in that moment they realized that they had reached a new turning point in their lives. Their future had been shaped by the love and trust they shared. Everything had a beginning, and now for them there was a new beginning. The losses created by the past had disappeared forever.